the radio show. I'm Dorothea Schuler, and we're so glad you're joining us. On this week's show, we'll be speaking with Tina Blount and Matt Koch of DBVI, the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired, a nonprofit organization that has been serving Virginia since 1922. We'll also be speaking with David Jones, the founder and CEO of 214 Consultants. Of course, a little later, we'll be making a divine decision with me, Dorothea. Then Deshana drops some jewels as she gives us her 2 cents on finance. But first up, like we always do around this time, we get to hear some amazing tips from Tiffany to help you emerge as a CEO. So come on, let's go and tiptoe over with Tiffany into the CEO's Corner.
Emerge yourself.
Welcome to the CEO Corner, the only place where you will get tips on how to live your best CEO life and emerge to the next level. Today, I want to talk about the importance of business networking. We all network, we all go to these networking events, or at least we should be, but what actually is networking? Do we really know? Do you really know? This is an art to this thing. So, like I've said before, I'm a super logical person, so I start with the definition. Networking is establishing a mutually beneficial relationship with other business people and potential clients or customers. Okay, people, let's break this down. Keywords: mutually beneficial. Mutual meaning a respectful experience between 2 or more people. Beneficial is resulting in something good. So relationship is the state of being connected. And business networking means with people that can help your business with resources or by being clients. So we put it all together to really get the definition of business networking, and it is a respectful experience between 2 or more people that result in something good, where we are being connected with individuals that can grow or provide resources for me and my business. This is the most helpful to small business owners. To reap the rewards of business networking and not get burned out, it is important to understand what business networking is and why you are going to network. Is it to meet new people, to boost sales, to increase efficiency, or build awareness of your brand? CEOs, know your why before you step in the building, and then you will leave the building reaping what you sow. And it is also a plug for Emerge networking events that we do every 4th Wednesday. So check us out, because we really believe in what we're talking about to help you grow. And I'm Tiffany Boyle, and that's my tip from the CEO Corner.
Emerge yourself.
Hello and welcome to Emerge Wednesdays. I am Deshana Kemp Garnett, host of the Emerge Radio Show, along with Dorothea Schuler, our co-host. And today we have Tina Blount and Matt Koch of Virginia Industries for the Blind. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity.
All right, so let's just jump right in. Talk to us about Virginia Industries for the Blind.
Well, Virginia Industries for the Blind is a state agency, but like most of your listeners, we're actually a small business. We get no general tax revenue to support our operations, so we are a self-supporting social enterprise within state government. And we're very proud of the fact we provide quality jobs for qualified Virginians who are blind, and that is our mission. We can only do it if we can operate financially profitably, right? So just like any other business, we have 160 employees across 21 locations in Virginia, and Tina helps lead up a portion of that work, primarily in a segment of our business called service contracts. And she is headquartered down in Hampton. And Tina, what else would you like to say about VIB?
I would just say that VIB often, it can kind of have 3 different ranges of employment, if you will. For some people coming to Virginia Industries for the Blind and working with us, it's a jumping off point in their career. While for others, they find long-term career tracks that they mature in throughout the duration of their working life, if you will. And then for others, because there are a lot of Virginians who lose their sight later in life. And so they're new to sight loss. So we can sometimes bridge the gap between their career before sight loss and their career after that sight loss. So the employment opportunities that we provide to Virginians who are blind and vision impaired are diverse in our offerings. So it's essentially what kind of employment is the individual looking for and what duration do they want to stay with VIB. But there are certainly long-term career opportunities with us if that's what they're seeking.
Okay, so I just have to say, I personally have never heard of VIB. So talk to us about how that got started and how long it started ago.
Sure. And we are one of the best untold stories out there. So I'm not surprised that you haven't heard about us. Hopefully with your listeners and telling a couple friends that they heard about this program will expand the universe of those that know about us. But VIB has a proud history. We're nearly 100 years old. We started in Charlottesville, Virginia, where there was a nonprofit that started a business to help employ people that were blind back in the 1930s. And at the time made brooms and wicker furniture. We've evolved since then. As I said, we're now in 21 locations. We have 2 manufacturing facilities, one in Richmond and the original facility out in Charlottesville. We have 11 retail stores or locations. Those are in federal office buildings and on military bases. So we have 3 retail stores in the Hampton area at Langley Air Force Base, at Fort Eustis, and at the Naval Air Station in Oceana. And in a little bit, Tina will share a little bit more about the service contract opportunities that we're supporting in Hampton and Virginia Beach. But in addition to the manufacturing retail, we also have all the back office functions that any business would have. So we've got a fiscal office, a procurement office, there's HR and IT. All these efforts are part of our operations that, again, we fund ourselves based on the sales of our goods and services. And Tina, if you'd like to talk a little bit about the history of the service contracts, and I'll just point out that Tina has been with us for a short time, certainly not a long period of time, but a couple years she's been at VIB and she's been promoted. And she is one of our proud success stories, one of many, and came to us as a person who's blind and looking to advance her career. So Tina, how about you tell a little bit about the service contract world and then perhaps your personal story with VIB?
Okay, absolutely. So I serve as the assistant manager for service contracts. And essentially what that entails is we have service contracts from Maryland all the way down to Virginia Beach. And they're diverse in scope. We have approximately 3 locations that do what we call CMS, so contract management services for the federal government. And they basically prepare those contracts for reconciliation so that any of those unused federal funds can return to the customer. We also provide kitting, and we work with a commercial company doing what for their product, it's called Deck in the Box. And so that product is used across the entire fleet of the Navy on flat top ships. So we kit that product for our commercial customer, but really our federal customer being the United States Navy. We also provide mail services at Langley Air Force Base for our men and women in arms. So we provide the personal mail service side of the house on that. And then we're really excited because we're continuing to grow our service contract sector. And we have some exciting opportunities in the work. But I don't want to go into too much detail until they come to fruition. But my director, Pat Thomas, and she and I are both actively working to pursue some new opportunities and develop some new jobs that will come here to Hampton Roads. And we also have a supply store at ManCon, which is at Naval Station Norfolk, where our team there provides basically retail services, but in a larger scope to the United States Navy. So often when ships come in, they'll order pallets of various supplies. So our team helps fulfill those orders and get them to the ships. And then a little bit about my personal background. I was born blind, and so I've been blind my whole life. And I started off my career after graduating from college in education, which then transitioned into working in the nonprofit sector, where I gained some experience in the business development and advocacy side of things. And then amid COVID, I was laid off, like millions of other Americans across the country. And I began reaching out to all of my professional contacts and letting them know that I had been laid off and I was looking for new employment opportunities. And then I found a home with Virginia Industries for the Blind. And I started off as a supervisor of one of the contracts at Langley. And then I, applied for the position that I'm in now. And I'm excited because I kind of feel like I'm back at home, practicing business development and leading a team, but most importantly, creating jobs for people who are blind and vision impaired. And we'll probably get into that later in our conversation, but individuals who are blind and vision impaired are significantly under or unemployed. So I'm happy to kind of give back to the community in that way.
I had wanted to speak to that because just first of all, I want to take my hat off to what you guys do. As Deshana said, I myself have never heard of such an intricate company that is specifically there to meet needs. Not just meet needs, you guys are reintroducing people to their purposes. I heard you say something, and when you said it, it just cut on the, I never thought about that moment. When you said some people aren't born blind, of course we know that. They go blind later on in life, and now they're faced with having to learn to be employed or to do their job now without the ability to see. That is, that alone is a lot in there. So I'm bringing that up because how did that come about? Who realized that that was an issue, and instead of allowing people's talents and, their life as they know it to just come to an end, to say, hey, let's transition you over here because you're still the person you were. You just don't have
absolutely
that sense, we'll say. Of course, other senses are heightened, I'm sure, but you've lost something that you've been used to for your whole life. So that blew me away. Who thought of that? Where did that come from? I'm guessing I should direct that to you, Matt, because you guys hired Tina. So who thought of that amazing call, like to do that? Who came up with that?
Well, you brought up a lot of great questions just then. And the first thing that I'll touch on is when we had met Tina before while she was employed with the other nonprofit. And I turned pad after our first meeting with her and said, if she's ever available, I want her. We're going to get her on board. So while it was a chapter in her life that she probably wouldn't have wanted to go through at the time, we knew that we were ready to have her on board. So we're happy that she chose to join VIB. But you asked a much larger question about when did this start or who started this? And it started back in the 1920s, 100 years ago. Federal legislators, senators got together, and representatives got together, and they figured that there were an awful lot of people out there who needed some sort of work. And so it started with what is now known as the Ability One program at the federal level, which is where the federal government stepped in as part of the Social Security Administration to provide benefits, for people. And they didn't want to just give welfare away. And so they made sure that the federal government started buying things from people who are blind. And it's a mandatory program for the federal government to buy certain goods and products from industries of the blind or from individuals who are blind. So the state then followed up with some state laws that introduced our preceding organization into the state, where we developed a state program to employ people who are blind. And so we have significant presence on federal property due to the Ability One program. And we have a significant presence in the state government procurement process as a mandatory source. And so tying together the legislation at both the federal and state levels, I would love for your listeners to think about not just knowing what VIB does for our employees, but what we could do for them. Okay. We could be the introduction for many of their products into government procurement, into the state procurement process or the federal procurement process, because we have a special relationship with both of those.
Yes.
And so if your entrepreneurs have a product that they're trying to develop and they need customers, right? The government is a pretty reliable customer to get. And
good point, Matt.
Yeah. And if they partner with us and we can develop some blind labor into that process and we can add value to their product, we can eventually get them into the state procurement process or the the federal procurement process, and I'll put a big asterisk here, but they could become a mandatory source, which is a very nice place to come. It takes a while to go through all those wickets, but that's what we're working with the commercial company in Virginia Beach with the product they have, which is Deck in the Box. We add value by assembling the kits of the material there, and they are selling it through us to the federal government. And eventually, when all the administrative work is done, we're going to have it as a mandatory product into the federal government. And so it's a tremendous avenue for your listeners to get into a very rich customer pool if they partner with us and allow us to bring blind labor into their equation.
I'm inspired. My daughter's special needs, and she works through the same type of system. It's versatility, and they do the same thing. I have a quick question. I know Deshana is burning to ask. Me and her are so inquisitive. And so I love when we interview together. I have a quick question. I heard you speak of the retail stores. Mm-hmm. Those retail stores that are on the military bases, was that something that came later as like, hey, this is a great idea to make additional money for the company since you guys are nonprofit? Is that how that kind of came in?
Well, it came in later. It was later. It was probably about 20 years ago or so. I didn't know I was going to have history tests. I would have boned up on that a little bit better. But it was a few decades ago that what's called base supply centers came in. There are now 117 of them across the world. VIB operates 11 of them. I'm going to brag for just a moment. Out of those 117 stores worldwide, we won the national award for large base supply centers at our Langley store. And so there was one award for large, one for medium, and one for small. We got the one for large, so we were thrilled. I was told that we also won an award for one of the other categories, but the National Industries for the Blind, which makes those awards, wanted to spread the wealth out. So, that's fine. We got the one for the biggest store and the best store in the world. So we're very happy about that. But those retail stores, the reason for their existence is for convenience of the customer, so that they have a brick and mortar store that they can go to regularly. They can develop relationships with our employees. 75% of our employees at our locations are blind. And so people get exposed to folks who are blind, and that may be the only person they've ever met who's blind. And so it gets them a greater comfort level, and they become very comfortable with our staff in those locations. But I think the real reason for the base supply centers is that the products sold there are made by people who are blind across the country. So I told you that VIB has 2 manufacturing facilities, but there are 39 other agencies across the country that also make products. And so this is a showcase for their products, and all of these products that we sell, and there are 10,000 line items of products, they're all mandatory sources for the federal government. So if they need to buy a pen, they need a reflective vest, a mop head, PPE, whatever it happens to be, if it's sold in our store, it's a mandatory source and keeps them compliant with all the federal procurement rules. So it was really set up to be a convenience for the military, for the federal government. Our one of our larger stores is at the Pentagon, and it's kind of neat going there. I used to work there. I was a Navy helicopter pilot for 15 years until I lost sight in one eye, and they said you shouldn't be flying off of ships anymore. So I had to agree with them, and I had to make a career transition midlife, as we were talking about earlier. It was certainly a shock and a change, but good things come from all opportunities, and I've really enjoyed my opportunities here with Virginia Industries for the Blind.
Awesome. So if you are just tuning in, you are listening to the Emerge Radio Show. I am your host, Deshana Kemp Garnett, along with co-host Miss Dorothea Schuler. And we have been talking to Tina Holly Blount and Matt Koch of Virginia Industries for the Blind. And I really feel like I've just been getting an education on a topic that I wasn't even aware that I just didn't know things like this existed. So I'm super excited to learn everything that y'all have shared today. If someone wants to reach out to you, if they have more questions, do you have contact information, a website, or social media that you can share?
Certainly. The first thing would be our website, and that is vibonline.virginia spelled out .gov, G-O-V. So it's vibonline.virginia.gov. And then Tina has graciously accepted the task of receiving all emails from folks, and then she'll follow up. So Tina, how about you give your email address, please?
Yes, and please do flood my inbox. I would absolutely welcome that. So my email address is Tina, Tina, .Hawley, HAWLEY -Blount, BLOUNT at DBVI.Virginia spelled out .gov. I know it's a mouthful.
It's okay. We got it. Now, before we let you go, we have one last question for each of you, and that is our signature question. What does the word emerge mean to you?
How about you go first, Tina?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, that'll give me time to think.
Yeah, it gives him time to think.
Good one.
I guess emerge means to me like coming out onto the scene, if you will. You're emerging onto the scene. And I think that's, speaking as society as a whole, I feel like that's where the blind and vision impaired community is. We're ready to emerge. We're ready to be seen. We're ready to be participating in the workforce. As Matt mentioned, 70% of individuals who are blind in the United States are under or unemployed. That is an untapped labor market. And so we're ready to emerge and fulfill those open vacancies. And hopefully VIB will be partnering with some of your listeners in the very near future, or possibly if there's any visually impaired and blind people listening, hopefully they'll be reaching out to us and we'll become their employer of choice.
I love it.
Yeah, that was good, Tina.
All right, Matt. So you're on the hot seat. What does the word emerge mean to you?
Well, when I envision emerge, I see growth. I see something getting bigger, getting stronger, getting more nutrition and energy in order to reach its potential. And so Tina did a nice job of describing how we help the employee base emerge. I'll tie it back to the business message, and that is, you've got lots of young businesses trying to emerge and to make their mark, and VIB can support their goals by opening up customers, by perhaps educating folks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is more than a buzzword. We were doing it before it was cool, so we've been doing it for 100 years, and we know how to get the most out of every single person because they have hopes and desires. And Dorothea, you said, just because you lose a sense doesn't mean that you've lost your identity or your abilities. And that's one of the messages that we send religiously to audiences is just our disability is relatively easy to simulate, right? Just close your eyes. Well, what's changed? You still have the same hopes and desires. You still have the same innate capability. You still have the drive to support your family or grow your career. And so nothing has changed except one sense. So let's use all the technology that we have, all the behaviors that we have, the skills that we have in management to allow you to become your full self, to continue to emerge and contribute. So I hope that's the message that you all got, is a sense of hope, a sense of capability, and a sense of desire to participate with others and help others achieve their goals as well.
I am just two very different but very much amazing definitions of the word emerge. And I'm so appreciative for y'all being a guest on today's show. I have truly learned a lot.
Yes.
And, if I know people who are visually impaired or are blind, I will definitely give out your email.
Yes.
So we can get them employed.
And we would love to welcome you or any of your listeners for tours of our facilities.
Awesome.
So you can come and see whether it's manufacturing or retail or service contracts. We want people to feel comfortable.
Oh, we are definitely going to make an emerge field trip there. We would absolutely be honored. I was going to tell you it was an honor to have you on our show. And so now I'm just humbled. And I know I speak for Deshana and Tiffany as well. We would absolutely love to come and tour your facility and let you share with us and further show us how you guys are handling business, because that's the chief thing I heard tonight. You guys are handling business on national scales that are just amazing.
If I could give you one other thing to perhaps include in your show or edit out if you don't want, but
give us the jewels.
I am very proud of VIB and the way we responded during the pandemic. So of the 160 people who work for us, about half of our employees had to continue showing up at work every single day because they're in manufacturing or retail. You can't do that remotely, right? And so they showed up every single day without fail. We put in new measures at work. And during the entire pandemic, we had 0 incidents of workplace infections. So that was outstanding. And when I visited our staff who was working every single day, they were happy. They were thrilled. I didn't hear any moaning and groaning groaning about how come I can't telework. They were busy contributing. And one of the things that VIB did, we stepped up in a new way for the state. The state was getting ready to put out 13 separate contracts for PPE to the private sector. And we went to them and we said, instead of dealing with 13 vendors, deal with one and make that one Virginia Industries for the Blind. And the state was hesitant at first because we weren't in the PPE business per se. We supply exam gloves to the state, but there were many more products that were needed. They agreed to trust us. We worked every day for 16-hour days. We were working with suppliers from South Korea, all around the world, finding the products that everybody needed to survive. So whether it was the hand sanitizer, all the different types of masks, the gowns for the hospitals, all the protective gear, face masks, respirators, COVID vaccines, COVID test kits, we got all. Well, I'm sorry, we didn't do COVID vaccines, COVID test kits. We found that, and we found over 30 million pieces of PPE that we brought to the state, and did so below the competitive market rate. So everything we sold to the state was less than what you would find on Amazon. And we were able to do that because of the hard work of our staff. And so we brought in an extra $16 million of revenue to our agency and went from a $50 million a year business to a $66 million a year business. And that was, during very stressful times, obviously for us personally, as well as from a business and supply chain standpoint. So we're experts at what we do, and we just like to do more for folks. And if we could help your businesses, your listeners grow, we're more than happy to talk with them.
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
Emerge yourself.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Live Vape Free is a free program focused on helping parents and other concerned adults talk to young people about the harms of e-cigarette use and vaping. There are videos, live chat, toolkits, and activities to begin the conversation about vaping. Live Vape Free is also for young people who want to quit using e-cigarettes, Juul, or vapes. Virginia is for vape-free teens. Learn more at livevapefreeva.org. Brought to you by the Virginia Department of Health.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my number one priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Emerge yourself.
It's Emerge Wednesdays on WHOV 88.1 FM.
Welcome back. I'm Dorothea Schuler, and you're listening to Emerge the Radio Show, the show that's all about entrepreneurs and business and is the premier information source for business owners. If you're just now joining us, Deshana and I just spoke with Tina Blount and Matt Koch of DVVI, the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired, a nonprofit organization that has been serving Virginia since 1922. They spoke to us about their passion and mission to utilize the gifts and talents by ensuring the employment of individuals who are visually impaired throughout Virginia and utilizing their occupational contributions to society through the workforce. So, if you missed their interview or would like to listen to any of our previous shows, you can do so by visiting emergethemagazine.com. So let's get to it. A decision is a conclusion or resolution reached after consideration. And divine means excellence. So we're making an excellent choice. With that being said, let's make the divine decision today to prepare. The definition for prepare is to make something ready for use or consideration, to make someone ready or able to do or deal with something. I'm sure we all know very well what it means to prepare, but to make deliberate efforts in our daily lives to prepare ourselves to operate in excellence requires conscious discipline. And that's what I want to speak to today. So how many of us wake up in the morning and begin to plan our outfit, what we want to eat for breakfast, or what we want to pack for lunch that day? Maybe even the route we're planning to take to work in order to stop at the gas station or to drop a package off that needs to be delivered. How many of us are talking ourselves through what we need to do and how we're going to do it as the moment approaches? And so we say to ourselves, yep, that's it. That's the plan. And then hope everything just harmoniously falls into place. But then here it goes. We realize the blouse we wanted to wear is still in the cleaners. And so we find ourselves rethinking that outfit, which has now cut into our time. And now we may not be able to make that pot of oatmeal. Now maybe you're going inside the gas station to see what you can grab for breakfast and not just pulling up to the pump really quickly to get that gas that you need to make it to work. The picture I'm painting, take a couple of minutes to prepare yourself beforehand. It can make the difference in how we start our day, and inevitably it carries over into how we operate our lives. So are you preparing yourself so that you can operate in clarity and not confusion? So that you can maximize your time versus wasting it? So you can follow a plan to achieve the goals you've set out to do, and they aren't stifled because of your failure to take that time out to prepare. Now, I definitely listed practical ways to prepare, but that requires us to also prepare mentally. What are you doing daily to prepare yourself mentally for what's next? I suggest that you make a list of your current life and how you want it to look. And then prepare that list to reflect the steps you need to take to achieve those changes, and then implement a plan for success. I looked up scriptures containing the word prepare, and I found one that is fitting to my last point, being mentally prepared first. It's from 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13. And it says, therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Prepare your minds for action and set your hope fully. So let's prepare the lives we want to live and fully set our minds to do what's necessary to see those things that we plan for manifest in our lives. So join me today and make the divine decision to prepare, knowing this decision will help to shape and create a path that reflects a light of excellence in our lives. This has been another divine decision with Dorothea. You can decide to be a part of the Emerge radio show by submitting your response to our signature question. What does the word emerge mean to you? Share that with us on our IG at Emerge the Magazine. This This week's response is from Andy Byers, CEO and founder of Chronic and Iconic Coaching in Smithfield, Virginia. To choose to rise and thrive despite what life throws at you. Emerging to me is boldly walking in your birthright with purpose and on purpose. Yes, I love it. Boldly walking in your birthright. So just be you, huh? We love it, Andy. And you can follow Andy on IG at Chronically Iconic Coach. That's ChronicallyIConicoach. Thanks for listening to the Emerge Radio Show. Up next, Deshana and myself will be speaking with David Jones, the CEO and founder of 214 Consultants.
Emerge yourself.
Hello and welcome back. You are still tuned into the Emerge Radio Show. I'm your host, Deshana Kemp Garnett, along with co-host Dorothea Schuler. And right now, we are about to talk to David Jones of 214 Consultants. So, David, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you. Good to be here.
Awesome. So, tell us about yourself and about 214 Consultants.
All right. Well, 214 Consultants is a company that started a little bit out of necessity, but I'll take it back to the beginning. So, I joined the Army back when I was 20, did 10 years on the active duty side of the house. And then as I was transitioning out, I decided that I needed to go back to school. So I went back to school, got my associate's, bachelor's, and the master's in business. But during that time, I've always had a drive to be an entrepreneur. Both my parents own their own companies growing up. So I knew I was never much of a 9-to-5 guy anyway. I knew I always wanted to start a business. So it kind of started on the commercial side of the house where I bought an old bed and breakfast. Actually, it was an old historic home and we converted it into a bed and breakfast. And then from there, it just kind of grew. It went into a coffee delivery company. And after that, I got into commercial real estate with multifamily homes, got soured from that pretty quickly, just dealing with tenants and laws and whatnot. So I knew that I always wanted to move into business consulting and helping other companies has always been my drive. So, with my background and everything, and I also I guess I forgot to mention that I also own a logistics company too that delivers craft beer, wine, and spirits. So that really pushed me kind of into the corporate side of the house into project management firms. So those were kind of my big gigs when I got started in the consulting world. But again, I got a little bit soured from that too, because my mission is really to help every small business owner reach their own vision of success. And when I work with larger firms like that, I can only help one company at a time for anywhere from, 3 to 12 months at most. And then I leave. And then, regardless of what I implemented, it may or may not stay. So I realized that, the best thing I can do is to get into more one-on-one consulting with small businesses. I've been consulting with the SBA for veteran-owned businesses for the last 3 years specifically through a Roots to Business program, and that's been great. So I wanted to expand on that to try to develop different ways that I could kind of, do like a force multiplier where I could kind of get myself out there more. So I started to create like an e-learning platform so that way I can reach more companies, even though it doesn't take me any more time to do that. So I launched that this year, so that's going pretty well. And then I started to do a little bit of group coaching too, these kind of little boot camps, webinars, like 3-month webinars, just again, so I can reach more people. And of course, I still do the traditional one-on-one consulting as well with the small business owners, but I tried to create a kind of a tier for every single business, whether or not they're just starting out or pre-revenue. I got a lot of free information that they can download and look at, anything from things that I push out on LinkedIn to I just started a podcast, not nearly as robust as your show here.
Who are you telling, Deshana? I'm sitting over here like Renaissance man, entrepreneur. I'm trying to figure out where do we start with the questions? Like, I don't even know where to go. Wow. So I do have a quick question. You made a really good point. I love what you said about time and that when you are consulting, because as we heard, you also have other businesses. But my question is specifically to that. I love how you said you can only help one large company and, that could take take 9 months to a year, and they may implement and keep the things that you suggested or decide they want to go a whole entire route. And it's like your gifting and your talent is kind of wasted, but not. And so you having that relationship, you said one-on-one with the small business, is awesome, because everyone knows that America is really built off of small businesses. As you said, you watched your parents, so you knew early that you weren't going to be a 9-to-5 guy. So with that being said, do you feel like consulting is the chief area that you work in, and that kind of opens up other areas too?
Oh, without a doubt, it's my passion. And I say that even though technically I'm retired from the Army now, I don't think I'll ever truly retire, because I always love helping people and I love business. So consulting to me is just a natural fit. I don't think I'll ever stop, honestly, just because it's kind of a way to give back too.
That's awesome. You said military too. He just added another item to that list, Deshana.
I was just thinking, I love it when everything comes together. So David, we had another interview with a gentleman in the military, and he talked about, with wine. And I'm like, well, if he's talking about wine and David mentioned wine, you said logistics. I'm like, but nobody has my address to deliver the wines to me. And I'm a great taste tester. You said a lot of amazing things. And I think it's awesome to have you on our show, because Emerge is all about helping all business owners connect, help them get better, help them, grow. The e-learning, talk to me about the e-learning. How did you decide you wanted to do that, and how did you set that up?
Again, it's always been kind of a pet project the last couple of years, but it's a pain to set up. It just takes forever, and I criticize myself way too much, probably more than I should. So trying to create my own videos and put them out there and edit them, like, it was taking forever. So I had to get with someone to give them information and basically give them scripts so they could read it, they could do it, they could post it, because I was just way too self-critical. I don't know.
I think that's being transparent enough. We're in the social media age, right? Everything is posted online. Every time, I have someone talking about their business or someone talks to us about how to grow our business, well, you got to get on social media. You got to get a content schedule. You have to post. And what people might see for a 30-second to minute video, if they knew the prep, how many takes it is, and oh my gosh, how does this sound? And I didn't say that word right, and I didn't know I had to twang on that word. It is a lot of work. So I can imagine why you would want to bring someone in. Sometimes I wish I could have someone come in and do mine for me as well.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing that I learned over the years too, is having good partners, or to be able to sub out work, so you don't have to wear every single hat and become the subject matter expert at everything. Just stick to what you're good at and sub out what you can. I don't care if you have to, swap for it, time or money or whatever the case, but you either have time or you have money, usually one or the other. Hopefully both, but
right. Delegating, outsourcing, you're consulting with us about how you consulted on your own business to grow it. So I think that's awesome. Delivery. How did you, it's just so amazing. The businesses are not connected. I'm guessing that has come from you consulting and helping other businesses. How did you get in the delivery business? Where did that come from? Where did that spark at?
Actually, it was totally random. So at the time I was going through school and I was working at a veteran nonprofit as a grant manager, as I was getting my MBA, and I was doing a setup at the VA, and there was another company there doing a setup as well. They were listed as a benefit corp, and their mission as a benefit corp was to give back to veterans and their families, and they were pre-revenue. So they saw me at the thing and they saw my background and they said, hey, how would you like to consult for us? We can't pay you money right now because we're pre-revenue, but if you can give us your time and you can help build out our standard operating procedures, our SOPs, and, getting an onboarding process in place and getting our operations up and running, we'll give you a percent of the company. So they ended up giving me 25% of the company in exchange for my services. And then I grew them into 4 states, took over kind of as the COO temporarily. And then I stepped away from that. And then I started to pursue my other ventures into like the one-on-one business consulting, as well as owning self-storage facilities.
David, let me just say this. You are so modest and humble when you
yes.
the things you talk about are 8 years deal. And it's just like, hey, just every day, that's what I do.
Pass the peas,
I love it.
My God. And what was the last thing you said? Did you just added in another business? You said you were a grant writer. That's how you came across that venture, is what you call that. That's not even a job. That's a venture when someone approaches you and says, hey, I need your talent. I would like to use it. I can't pay you cash, but here's a portion of our company.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's what I say to people who want to get into business. Like, you can either try to start your own and, grassroots, kind of guerrilla market and build yourself from nothing. You can purchase businesses, or if you don't have money, just use your skill set to work with someone who is trying to start something or already started something and is looking to grow, and then just, pour your skill set into it in exchange for ownership. So there's multiple ways to get into business ownership.
So if you are just tuning in, you are listening to the Emerge Radio Show. I am your host, Deshana Kemp Garnett, along with co-host Dorothea Schuler. And right now we are listening to Mr. David Jones of 214 Consultants. And he's kind of giving us his story. And he's really proven why he is an amazing consultant as he's just telling us about all these different business ventures. Sometimes we have people who kind of tell us their story and how they got into business. But what did the process look like from a business perspective of starting your consultancy? How did you go about that?
Yeah, again, the consulting kind of just morphed upon itself. With the project management firms that I was working for, again, they found me online and they approached me with the business. So it wasn't even me going out and trying to stir some of this stuff up. Now, getting into working with small businesses, it's a lot more proactive. There's a lot of outreach. There's a lot of, just putting information out there, trying to get all the free information out there so I can get the inbound marketing thing started and everything. So the one-on-one small business consulting is actually taking more time than I thought it was going to take actually to really take off. But I think it's because, I don't know, maybe there's so much information out there that people don't know what they can trust or not. So, I really just started working with small businesses specifically in the last 6 months because after my last project that I was on, I ended up growing this, firm, multi-million-dollar firm, relaunched them, and we streamlined all their businesses. They were able to grow without growing their staff. And once we got their profits running and we got all their personnel in place and the business streamlined, they ended up laying people off after I left because they were so streamlined and so profitable, they didn't need the extra bodies. So to me, that just goes totally against what I stand for small businesses. I want to help small businesses grow so they can hire more people because, that's the lifeblood of the country. So that's why I stepped away from the larger firms.
Wow. A champion for small businesses, a person with integrity. I mean, that says a lot for you to say, hey, look, I decided I don't even want to sow or reap in that area anymore. I want to focus on just small business, which is the little guy, which are the forgotten people. This is an amazing interview here.
It is. I think you touched on something great where you were talking about is so much, free information out there. What I found when people are starting businesses, although there's a lot of free information out there, like you said, it is hard to know who to trust, but also it gets overwhelming. Because you can get this information from this site and this site tells you to do it this way. So I feel like a lot of people kind of need that consultant or that coach to say, hey, this is step one, go to this website, click here, submit that. I feel like that is much needed because a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you're doing things out of sequence and you're wondering why you can't get stuff done and approved. And it's you really just don't know what you're doing or where to look or where to ask for help sometimes.
Exactly. And I like that point that you brought up too, is another thing that I find with people, especially perfectionists are the worst offenders of this. It's, I'll do it when. So when I'm profitable, I'll go, seek out a coach or something like that. Whereas, when early on is when you need it the most. But what you need to do is do it, smart. Don't go out there and spend a ton of money on something that's unproven. Don't just spend a ton of money on marketing or advertising unless you have your message tightened up, unless you've done a lot of A/B testing. Be smart with your money, do what you can yourself, but, take as much free information as you can, but be smart. That's why everything that I offer with guarantees, money back guarantees. So if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't grow your business X%, don't pay me. So
sounds like confidence. That sounds like confidence. That sounds like I'm 10 for 10. I'm Jordan. I'm the Jordan of this thing. I got 6 rings.
Yes, absolutely. So Dave, you've been giving us a lot of great information. If someone wanted to reach out to you to have you consult with them and they have more questions for you, what's your contact information, your website, or your social media?
Yeah, so I'm all over LinkedIn. So if you just look for David Jones or 214 Consultants, I have a company page. I have it. I monitor it. I just started it though, just specifically for the advertising. But if you just look David Jones up, you'll find me there as a business coach. If not, just look for 214 Consultants with an S on the end, 214consultants.com. And there's information right there on the website where you can just click literally ask me, and you can get in touch with me right there. Or David at 214consultants.com for email. You can shoot me an email. Happy to respond to that too.
How simple is that?
Very simple.
No underscores, no asterisks, 214 Consultants. We got it. So it's getting to that time. We hate to see you go. Like, you really, I wish you could see
Literally.
all the notes and stuff I've taken.
I was just thinking that, like, I'm totally going to be taking notes when I go back to listen to the show.
So it is time for us to ask you our favorite question, which is our signature question. What does the word emerge mean to you?
Emerge to me really means just commit. Put yourself into the role, whatever it is, and just commit to it. And to me, that's always bettering yourself. If you better yourself, you better everybody around you, and you make yourself more resilient to the hard times. So I say emerge, commit to yourself, and just go all in, because you can't do it with one foot on each side.
Wow.
We hear a lot of definitions. I've never heard that one. Just
never.
Enough said. So, David, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure talking with you today.
Pleasure's all mine, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you and your company in the future.
Emerge yourself.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Mr. Detweiler, we're all finished.
What?
Your knee replacement went great, and it's all because of you.
What did I do?
You were captain of Team Detweiler. You told us everything. Medical history, allergies. You asked us tons of questions.
Huh. I guess I did kind of run the whole operation, didn't I?
We couldn't have done it without you.
Patient safety. It takes a team. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons with more tips at orthoinfo.org/patient safety.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Greg met his mother at their weekly dinner spot. She was about 15 minutes late because she took a wrong turn. They chatted through the meal, and she mentioned that she stopped playing cards with her friends. After eating, she excused herself and asked directions to the ladies' room. Greg missed 3 warning signs of Alzheimer's. Did you? Know where Alzheimer's and all dementia hide. Learn more at alz.org/10 signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association.
Students, when I call the reason for your absences throughout the years, please exit the auditorium without your high school diploma. Too tired, family trip, sick day, starting the holidays early.
Starting in the 6th grade, students who miss 18 days or more of school in a year for any reason will fall behind and risk not graduating high school. How many days of school has your child missed this year? Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
Emerge yourself.
It's Emerge Wednesdays on WHOV 88.1 FM.
I am Deshaina Kemp Garnett, and it's time for My 2 Cents. Hello and happy Wednesday. I'm super excited to be here because today I'm going to talk to you about something I absolutely love doing, and that is spending money. And I want to share with you what I learned about spending money as an entrepreneur. As business owners and entrepreneurs, we have to know all about spending, the spending of ourselves and the spending of our clients. So we need to learn how to have rational spending. While this may seem obvious, it's not as obvious as we may think. We have to learn as business owners how to spend responsibly responsibly and how we can rationally spend so it can help increase our bottom line. Even the smallest things you can think of can help when it comes to rational spending. For instance, do you have your own Keurig machine or coffee pot and make your own coffee? Or do you stop at Wawa or Starbucks every day for your coffee? Are you bringing your lunch into the office? Or are you Ubering or getting a Grubhub? Do you have a budget? Do you use a coffee mug or do you use plastic cups? Sometimes the things we overlook that really helps us be focused on rational spending. Also, before you make any large purchase, ask yourself, what are the benefits or what can I expect from this purchase? Is this going to help me grow my business? Is it going to help me with my organization? Will it help my team and I with our productivity? If you're working out of a home office and you want to have another office, is leasing better than buying? Is it really worth it? These are all questions you should ask yourself before you spend any money on your business. On the flip side, now that you have a better understanding on how to understand your spending, you need to understand how your customers spend. For your particular business and industry, when do customers typically spend the most money? Is there a certain holiday, a certain time of the year? What are your clients really looking for? What would your client spend money on that they feel is a value for them? I am Deshana Kemp Garnett, and these are my 2 cents.
Here's what's coming up in Hampton Roads.
Let's take a look at some local and regional activities. Women Business Brunch Echo, March 18th at 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Join Norfolk Public Library for a light brunch as we listen to local businesses introduce themselves and the services they provide. After the introductions take place, feel free to visit each business's table for further networking and questions. In honor of Women's History Month, local women-owned businesses will be featured. If you are a local women-owned business and would like to be featured, please contact the Richard A. Tucker Memorial Library, 2350 Berkeley Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia. Free Market, a celebration of women. Sunday, March 19th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Come celebrate Women's History Month with us at 1865 Brewing Company, where you can scope out and support over 20 women-owned businesses. This will take place at 1865 Brewing, 9 South Mallory Street in Hampton, Virginia. For additional information, visit allevents.in. Emerge Your Business Networking Event, March 22nd at 6 o'clock p.m. Every fourth Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Come out, eat, and network. Grow your business and support some 757 small businesses. Each month will spotlight a different business owner. We hope everyone who attends has the opportunity to learn, participate, share, and support at least one other small business owner or entrepreneur. This will be at the Landing at Hampton Marina, 700 Settlers Landing in Hampton, Virginia. A special thank you for the guests on today's show. To listen to past episodes of our show, visit emergethemagazine.com.
Emerge yourself.
You've been listening to the Emerge Radio Show. All opinions expressed on this show are that of our guests and may or may not be shared by the Emerge Radio Show staff. Follow us on Facebook. Search Emerge Radio Show. On Instagram, Emerge the Magazine. And online, emergethemagazine.com.